Dr. David Oyedepo. Dr. David Oyedepo. That's an amazing man of God. Now, Dr. David Oyedepo is like an old generation preacher who focuses on the word of faith. And I mean the word of faith. If you want the word of faith, he is one of your go-to person you want to listen to. Now, Dr. David Oyedepo is one person who focuses on Christians' personal development for excellence. Let's watch the video of Dr. David Oyedepo, and then we'll be back to talk more about him.
Now, there are some other erroneous assertions on leadership. For instance, it is also commonly said that leadership occurs on 3 platforms. They say some are born leaders. Nothing can be far from the truth than that. Others have leadership trusted on them, and that some achieve greatness. You see, some are born great, he said. Others have greatness trusted on them, and then some others achieve greatness. Apart from that last one, all others are erroneous. Have you ever met a born doctor and then opens a clinic and they say, I'm a born doctor? Have you ever flown in the aircraft of a born pilot? Have you ever met a born lawyer who just bought the gowns and the wig and they say, what's your qualifications? I'm a born lawyer. Because there are no born lawyers, there cannot be a born leading lawyer. Because you are not born, so there's no way you can become leading. You can't become anything because you are not born. There are no born lawyers, so there cannot be born leading lawyers. Does that make some sense? Have you ever seen a born heavyweight boxing champion? World heavyweight boxing champion because he's born? No. Now, the son of a world heavyweight boxing champion is not a boxer. Neither can he inherit the belt. If he goes to the ring, because his father was a heavyweight boxer, they will finish him. The first punch, he will go down and all his spare parts will be scattered. There are no born leaders. It's a fallacy. Because leadership is not an endowment, it's an accomplishment. Leadership is not an endowment, it's an accomplishment. So there are no born leaders. No one has leadership trusted on them. That's why I said it is not occupying a seat. It is accomplishing a feat. So it can't be trusted on you. And some achieve greatness or attain to leadership. That is the truth. Everyone in leadership attains to it. Check on the world heavyweight wrestling champion and he will tell you how he came there. He had to fall down several times on his own with his coach before he appears on the stage. The boxer has to have his sandbag and punch it 10 straight punch and then 10 straight head boots. So that when they hit him on the ring, he's stable. So you never become a leader without paying the price. I think that is the bottom line. You never become a leader without paying the price for it. Manage this field to validate your leadership. Come and say manage. Okay? So, man had a leadership mandate, and that mandate is to be validated by a management task. So it is impossible to define leadership outside the context of management. It is efficient management that culminates in leadership. I hope I'm still speaking. Is someone catching what I'm talking about? So, your leadership heritage can only be validated by your efficient management. Now, let's now look at management in what sphere? First, management of self, management of task, management of material and human resources. Management. And if leadership is therefore defined in the context of management, that already connotes skill development. Because management cannot be imparted, it has to be learned. Skill cannot be imparted. You don't lay hands on someone and say, now be a pilot. Go and fly. Otherwise, I would have done that many years ago and be flying by myself. It would be cheaper anyway. And then all the pastors around might just lay hands on you. Now you're a pilot, and now take me straight to Lagos. There was one time our pilot misbehaved, and one of my sons in the Lord said, let me go for training. I said, before you finish, I would have finished my job. Because before you are qualified to be a captain, you must have flown 3,000 hours. So I can't wait for you. You know, that's why we have very low key leadership rating among many. It is not an endowment, it's an accomplishment. It is not in the title we wear, it's in the values we carry and add in our field. Now, so I have come to define management, therefore, as the product of efficient management of self, of task, of material and human resources. Efficient management of self. So leadership begins with efficient management of yourself. Efficient management of yourself, and that corroborates scriptures. He said, if a man does not know how to rule his house, how shall he rule the church of God? 1 Timothy 3:5. So it begins with you. What does this entail? Management. Management simply here entails knowing where you are going, knowing what it takes to get there, committing yourself to getting there, and going the extra mile if it so demands to get there. Let me come again. Management of self here connotes knowing where you are going, knowing what it takes to get there, committing yourself to getting there, and going the extra mile if it so demands to get there. Management of self. It's not about drawing a schedule on when to play golf, when to play lawn tennis. That's not what I'm talking about. Because until your field is defined, your leadership potential can never have expression. There are many people operating in undefined field. Undefined. They are this now, next week they have jumped to that, the other week they have moved to this, and so they are jack of all trades. One road does not lead to the market, that's their concept. So they go through all the roads. And when you are traveling more than one road per time, you never get anywhere. You go here small, you come back, you go here small, you come back, you go here, you come back. So that's what management of self entails. First, a discovery of your field, which is a task on its own. How many agree with that? Not just a discovery, but a discovery and a commitment to abide in your field. You see, I've been doing this stupid thing I'm doing in 28 years. Amen. And that's the only thing I've been doing 28 years. Nothing else has had any attraction to me. And many people go through their life without ever knowing where they are going. They are just going every waking morning to another job, and the following day, another job, another advert, another job. And they go jobbing and jobbing and jobbing and arriving nowhere. You are a creature of dignity. You know, he said, I know my plans for you, says God, the plans of welfare are not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. So it's important to settle down and discover your place in that master plan. It's a glorious plan. Jeremiah 29:11. It's a glorious plan. It's a glorious plan. To discover it and abide in it takes a lot of discipline. Takes what? A lot of discipline. To discover it and abide in there takes a lot of discipline. When our church was still under 50 people, I said one day in one of the meetings, I said, I will consider it a demotion if I were invited to President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I will consider it a demotion. Church was under 50. But I was so sure of my field that I will not sell off for anything. My birthright is precious to me. My future is in his plan, not in my plan. Somebody hearing what I'm talking about? Today I've had the privilege of presidents of nations knocking on my door for attention, not for arrest. I've had the privilege of resolving major issues between government and oppositions in my house on their request. I've never been a party till I die. It's so important for each one of us to know you are not a creature of chance. You are a creature of destiny. There is something about your life that is awaiting your discovery. You need to know where you belong and abide there. Then knowing what it takes to get there is a greater task. Come on, say greater task. Knowing what it takes to get there is a greater task. Many know where they are going, but they don't know what it takes to get there. So they are always on the same spot because they don't know what it takes to get there. No matter how costly a vehicle, it can never generate motion without fuel. Information is the fuel of every vision. Every vision that is void of information will culminate in frustrations. Knowing what it takes to get there is a greater task. Knowing where you are going is a great task. Knowing what it takes to get there is a greater task. So nothing can be more frustrating than knowing where you are going and not being able to get there. And I think the bankruptcy of many destinies is rooted in intellectual bankruptcy. Inability to be able to appraise the facts relating to the task that they are confronted with. And then committing yourself to get there. It's one thing to know what it takes. It's another thing to be willing to pay the price. Seest thou a man that is diligent in his business, that is committed to his business, that is fully engaged in his business? He shall stand before kings, he shall not stand before mean men. Proverbs 22 verse 29. It is input that defines output in any field. How much you put in will determine how much you can get out. Management of self. Committing yourself to getting there and then going the extra mile if it so demands to get there. That equals sacrifice. That equals what? So in the concept of management of self, we talk about vision, knowing where you are going. We talk about information, knowing what it takes to get there. We talk about diligence, giving it what it takes to get there. And we talk about sacrifice, going the extra mile if it so demands, like it will always demand to get there. Paul the Great said, I'm what I am by the grace of God, yet not I. He said, but I labored more abundantly than them all. Yet not I, but the grace of God that was with me. I labored more abundantly than them all. Say with me, labor. It is the quality of your labor that defines the limits of your future. The quality of your labor is what defines the limits of your future. And only those who care to go the extra mile command the extraordinary results. There is nothing extraordinary on its own, but by man's extraordinary input. Because like begets like. Your extraordinary input in your field qualifies you for extraordinary performance. And it's your performance rating that defines your leadership rating. It's your performance. So leadership is not in having responsibility. Leadership is in taking responsibility. Amen. It's in taking responsibility.
Right, welcome back. That's David Oyedepo for you. There's more on David Oyedepo in subsequent session. Like I said, he's an outlier. David Oyedepo is an outlier, and I don't want to put him in this category. But I can assure you, in subsequent videos, we're going to look a lot more about him. He has a lot of books, a lot of materials that are situated for your personal development as a Christian, for excellence in